So over to you, Timo.
Thank you so much. Yeah, right? Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining the FVM Filecoin workshop today. I think I met some of you in Singapore or in Lisbon, right? Right? Yeah. So first of all, I would like to ask you, are you familiar with Filecoin? Are you familiar with IPFS, Filecoin, FVM? So did you store any kind of data on IPFS? Can you raise your hand? Yeah. And Filecoin? Yes. And did you run smart contract on FVM? Not yet. Not yet. Okay, great. It's great timing to talk about FVM. First of all, to talk about FVM, many people know FVM is a Filecoin virtual machine. It's like an Ethereum virtual machine. So you can, it's a state-based blockchain, and you can run a smart contract on Ethereum as well as on Filecoin. So I would like to introduce briefly about IPFS and the Filecoin, and then FVM. Then you can get the more like broader overview of the whole Web3 landscape. What is the IPFS Filecoin positioning in the Web3 landscape? Nice to meet you. My name is Timo Lee. I'm serving as a community lead at Secure Finance. So Secure Finance is a DeFi, decentralized finance protocol. And we are also one of the ecosystem in Filecoin community. And I also, I talk about IPFS Filecoin in Germany, in South Korea, in Singapore, in Lisbon. So Filecoin Foundation appointed me as a Filecoin ambassador. So today I have honor to speak about the IPFS Filecoin and FVM in Oxford. Yeah, this is about me, like a Filecoin community program ambassador. And there are some organizations and the project, Protocol Labs, Filecoin Foundation, IPFS, and Filecoin. I think you guys are familiar with at least IPFS Filecoin. It's a project, it's a protocol. And the Protocol Labs and Filecoin Foundation is an organization. So Protocol Labs is one of the biggest open source research and development lab. They built a lot of tools, a lot of the protocol project like IPFS, live peer-to-peer, multi-format, IPLD, so interplanetary linked data, a lot of like decentralized Web3 infrastructure. And Filecoin Foundation is the foundation behind the Filecoin. They accelerate the Filecoin community growth, Filecoin ecosystem growth. The agenda today, I would talk about Web3 and what is IPFS position in Web3, what is Filecoin, Filecoin tokenomics, Filecoin token allocations, and computing. As the OpenAI, ChatGPT growing very fast, we see the new boom of the AI industry this year and the last year. So computing is a super important topic in Web3 and Web2 as well. And I'd like to introduce more about FVM and the ecosystem at the end. First of all, I would like to have an overview of the internet. So the internet is born from the United States, ARPANET, like Advanced Research Project Agency. And that time, there was only 4 nodes or 4 data centers or 4 peers in California and in Utah. But if you come to 1984, there is a lot of data center, there's a lot of internet service providers operating in the United States. And why IPFS and Filecoin is important, we use all-day smart device. Smartphones or electric cars or a lot of smart device is generating data, and annual size of global data growth is growing very, very fast. So people estimate in 2025 there are going to be 175 zettabyte data will be generated by human beings. So we need more bigger storage to store this data and to make this data more useful. That's why IPFS and Filecoin is important in Web3 as well as in Web2. IPFS is interplanetary file system. It's a protocol, so you can imagine like HTTP. It's a protocol, but Filecoin, the Filecoin network is a blockchain-based storage network, and you can operate a lot of data center globally. So I also met a lot of Filecoin miners. Now we call them storage providers in South Korea, in Europe, in France, in Germany, and Belgium, Netherlands, and North America, South America. A lot of Filecoin service providers. They are distributed. They are building the distributed storage network. So today we are facing the Web3. Everyone is talking about Web3. So if you look back the internet, the birth of internet is Web 1.0. That is, there was a Yahoo and some service providers, MSN. So it's a read-only and a static web page. It's only delivered information one way. So there is a home page, and we can only read the information. But in the decade of Web 2, this is read and write interactive web. So we use all social media, we use YouTube, so you can generate a lot of contents, a lot of data, and you can upload this data to the internet, and you became the owner of data. But the fact in Web 2 world is, the data is not only the data generated by you is not only owned by you. It's actually owned by the service provider. That's why we want to build a Web3. User generate data, and this data is owned by users. So there is some Web3 values like freedom of speech. This is expressed by Juan Bennett, the founder of IPFS Filecoin and the CEO at the Protocol Labs. He spoke up about some Web3 values in Berlin. Freedom of assembly, user own and control the data. So a lot of reader, writer privacy protection, and the self-sovereign identity for all. This is about some Web3 values. So in one glance, I would like to say Web3 is a decentralized web. It's blockchain-based and the linked data world. So all users generate data and they own data by themselves. So I would like to talk about what is the position of IPFS Filecoin in the whole Web3 landscape. As you know, there is a layer 1 blockchain. Most famous is, no doubt, Ethereum. And Solana just talked before. And there's also like a layer 2 blockchains. ZK Sync, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism. So they use like optimistic rollup or zero knowledge proof on the top of layer 1 blockchain. Before the FVM, Filecoin Virtual Machine launch, the IPFS Filecoin, they positioned themselves as a storage. So users, they store the data on IPFS or Filecoin. But today, Filecoin itself is moving to the layer 1 blockchain, because on Filecoin, you can run the smart contract. So it's actually compatible with the Ethereum, so you can write the smart contract with Solidity. Once it's run on the Ethereum, and you can just copy and paste this Solidity smart contract to the Filecoin. And you can also, use a lot of the development environment like Truffle, Remix. So on Filecoin, they are also building like indexing network, the graph in Web3. Almost every Web3 project is using the graph as a data indexing, and the Filecoin itself is also building like indexing on top of Filecoin, and identity. So identity is everything in Web3, we have our wallet address. We have public key and private key that can prove this wallet address is belong to me. So Filecoin, you can also use identity on the top of Filecoin. As I mentioned before, IPFS is like a Web3 version of HTTP, Hypertext Transaction Protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. But the HTTP is a location-based, but IPFS itself is a like content addressing. So it's a contents-based. There's more complicated, like a CID, IPLD, or libp2p in IPFS to make the internet and the data more distributed and decentralized. So everyone faces like a domain error 404 because this is address based. So domain.com and you see here address. But if someone delete the contents or data, you don't have access this data anymore. But IPFS and can provide like a more distributed and more like safe way of file storage in Web3. So think about everyone is using Google Docs. Actually, I'm also running the slides on Google. So all of us is rely on the backbone network. So everyone, I want to. If I share my link video, and you should visit the Google Service Center, and you can query data from Google Service Center. So all of us is rely on backbone network. Once the backbone network defect or something happens, we don't have access to this data. But IPFS is like a distributed file system. So the data will be stored on the many node as a chunk. This is a concept of IPFS. And IPFS, on every data on IPFS has its own CID. We call it content identifier, its own fingerprint. So if you store like image, text, or music on IPFS, you will get the CID, content identifier, as a unique fingerprint. The protocol labs, they developed the Filecoin, IPFS, IPLD, libp2p, and the multi-format. Now these are the infrastructure in Web3 tools. It's widely used infrastructure. Like libp2p is a communication protocol, and Ethereum is also using libp2p. IPFS and Filecoin. IPFS, as I mentioned, is a content addressing based. You get the unique fingerprint CID. It's based on the IPLD and libp2p. But Filecoin is blockchain based. Actually, is a chipset based storage network, and Filecoin itself has an incentive layer. Itself has its own tokenomics. So IPFS is only a protocol. It's not a blockchain. No token, no incentivized. So if you provide storage on IPFS, you can provide storage on IPFS using your laptop, your desktop at home, or your server in your company, but there's no incentivizing penalty. So people can decide anytime, go online or offline. So no protect for data, but Filecoin itself has a tokenomics on the top of Filecoin. So Filecoin storage service providers, they should, they should make their server or data is available all the time, and they can get the reward. If not, they get the penalty. So IPFS and Filecoin is working together to build the Web3 storage, distributed and decentralized Web3 storage network. So you can think about Filecoin as a Web3 version of Uber and Airbnb. It's like a sharing economic. people can share their own storage and earn the reward from the network. So about Filecoin, to conclusion, it's data storage and the distribution networks. Filecoin is a decentralized data storage and distribution network. They provide verifiable storage, and Filecoin itself is open source. And it's to the local optimization of distributed storage. And Filecoin project is developed by Protocol Labs as well as of the community. So joint development from the community. The mission of Filecoin network is it as an entirely new data storage and distributed network. Filecoin mission is to create a decentralized, more efficient, and a more robust storage network foundation for the human informations. As I mentioned, the positioning of Filecoin in Web3, before it was storage, but now people is building the computing and smart contract on Filecoin. So it's transferring itself from the storage to the computing infrastructure in Web3. The basic Filecoin consensus mechanism. Filecoin uses proof of replication and the proof of space-time as a basic consensus mechanism. So proof of replication means it requires Filecoin service provider, they create an accurate and a complete copy of specific file on their hard drive. And the proof of space-time requires Filecoin service providers, they keep the data available online for a certain period of time. In the current Filecoin, sector life cycle is like 18 months or 540 days. So Filecoin service providers, they should they should make sure that data is available 18 months or 540 days. There is over 3,800 Filecoin storage service providers in over 44 countries. It's very distributed, and the current Filecoin storage capacity, this is old number, but I guess it's now 18 exabyte. So it's really big. How many times we have?
21 minutes.
21 minutes, yeah. And FVM, it's time to talk about FVM. FVM enables on-chain programmability on the top of Filecoin economic and Filecoin storage and the data. So there is a Filecoin chipset chain or Filecoin blockchain, and people can run the programming application on the top of Filecoin. So the most famous project on Filecoin is on the FVM is like a programmable storage and some DeFi's, some pool-based DeFi's and the computing. So this is about the Filecoin system map. So there is it's a little bit small, but I hope you can see the text here. On Filecoin, it consists of a lot of parts. As I can say, first of all, Filecoin storage providers, actually it's miners. Filecoin storage providers, they consist of a robust Filecoin network. So we call them SP, storage providers. But they provide a lot of storage on the Filecoin, but we need real data creators and the data users or data retrievers, right? So as a storage client, it means you can be like a blog, like content creator, or you can be a video creator. You create your own video and you store this video to the Filecoin network. Actually, it's storing data on the Filecoin storage providers. But we need some like on-ramps program. So you probably heard about NFT storage, Web3 storage. So you don't need to face a very complicated protocol, but you can just, like Google Drive, you can put your file to the website, and this website, like NFT storage and Web3 storage, can easily store your data to the Filecoin. And once you store your data to the Filecoin, and we need someone to retrieve it, we need someone to query it. So we call them the retrieval client. But retrieval client, they face a lot of complicated way to retrieve data from Filecoin. That's why we need retrieval providers. So there are some projects like Saturn is built on the top of Filecoin, and it can provide client or data retrieval clients easily get the file from the Filecoin network. And like the graph in Web3, we also need indexing protocol on Filecoin to make sure every data is sorted and can be retrieved from any kind of users. So Filecoin is developing the world's biggest capacity and the data onboarding network. It also provides data retrievability. It means people can retrieve data from Filecoin network. And now Filecoin is really building the programming and the computation on top of Filecoin. So programming means you can write Solidity smart contracts. FVM itself is Ethereum compatible network, so you can run the Solidity on the top of FVM. Filecoin network indexer, as I mentioned before, people is developing Filecoin network indexing. Let's take a look at the Filecoin tokenomic. Filecoin tokenomic itself, they all locate around 55% of Filecoin token to the storage providers, to the SP, to the community, and Filecoin Foundation has a 5%, Protocol Labs teams and the contributors has a 4.5%, and the Protocol Labs, they reserve the 10.5% of Filecoin, and they did one of the biggest ICO back to 2017. It was 200 million. More than 200 million, 235 million, I guess, yeah, back to 2017, very successful. The current Filecoin storage state is, Filecoin network, they already exceed 19 exabyte. So you're probably not familiar with what is exabyte. It's like, we always use the gigabyte. Like our smartphone is 125 gigabyte, and petabyte and exabyte. So it's really a big number, and the Filecoin network is still growing. FVM. So Ethereum is one of the most proven and secure blockchain people can run the smart contract on Ethereum. And FVM, they launched this year, March 15. So it's already like April, May, June. So it's already 3 months. And how many? There is a growing smart contract on the people is deploying in the more and more smart contract on the Filecoin FVM. And the total contract balance. So they already locked 1,800K Filecoin on the FVM, total TVL. 15 minutes left, yeah. As I mentioned, there is a retrieval market, and many service providers is interested in providing Filecoin retrieval service. It's like a CDN. We need CDN in Web2 every day, every time, to deliver data efficiently, and the Filecoin itself also need a retrievable market. Filecoin is providing the logic layer of blockchain infrastructure for Web 2 and the Web 3 based applications. So I think the beauty of Filecoin is itself has a huge capacity of storage, like 19 exabytes. This is we didn't see in the blockchain community yet. Like Ethereum block size is really very limited, and Bitcoin is also very limited. But Filecoin, they have like huge verifiable storage behind the blockchain. It means people can retrieval, query, and proof of data every time, and they can run the smart contract on top of FVM. As I mentioned, there is a lot of on-ramps program, NFT storage. You can easily visit NFT.storage, and you can put your data, any kind of data, to the Filecoin and IPFS network. Web3 storage, very simple. There's also like web hosting, Flick. So currently we are hosting our lot of Web 2 homepage centralized, but Flick, they can easily provide a decentralized web homepage website hosting service. Filecoin also aim at do the carbon neutral or even carbon negative to be a carbon neutral or carbon negative network. So Filecoin Green come to the world, and developer is designing the Filecoin Green protocol and the tokenomics on top of Filecoin. So it's globally distributed, and many projects is storing their data on Filecoin. Let's see how many pages we have. Any questions to FVM, IPFS, and Filecoin?
Yeah, how is Filecoin different to protocols like SIA or Storage? How is it better?
Yeah, good question. SIA and the Storage is also decentralized storage providing service. I think the main difference now is Filecoin has a Filecoin virtual machine. So people can run the smart contract on the Filecoin. As I mentioned before, Filecoin has a huge enough verifiable storage behind the blockchain, but SIA and the Storage, they only provide a decentralized storage service. Great concept in Web3. Yes?
So when you were referring to exabytes, I'm just wondering how exactly the protocol of Filecoin, effectively, what is the block size? Is it like a block which is similar size to Ethereum, and then you have verifiable proofs to the stock?
Okay, Bitcoin and the Ethereum, they have, Bitcoin is 1 megabyte, I guess, and Ethereum is around 4 megabytes, very small block size. So Bitcoin and the Ethereum is only storing the transaction data or state data. Ethereum is storing the smart contract state data, but we don't store like a video or huge mega size of data on Filecoin blockchain. We store it off-chain, but we use the cryptographic way to prove, like a proof of replication and proof of space-time. And we write this small size of proof